What was your favorite toy growing up? I had two favorite toys. One was Lincoln Logs, which were these little log cabin pieces that you could build up like Abraham Lincoln's house with. The other toy I liked the most was matches. Played with them all the time. I don't recommend that you do that, but that's just how I rolled. And I remember one time, as a young adult, I bought my first home, and it was a hot August day. And I was in the backyard, I was mowing the yard, and I came across an anthill. And I thought, you know what? I'm an adult. If I want to play with some fire, I can play with some fire. And so this is what I did. I went and got the gas can for the mower, and I poured gasoline, just a little bit, on the anthill. And my thought was, I'll burn this up, get rid of the ants, have a little fun, and all will be done. What I didn't realize was exactly how combustible gasoline is. And what I didn't notice was really how dry the rest of my lawn was. And so as soon as I lit this thing, it went up like an atomic bomb, like mushroom cloud and all. I start freaking out, first checking to make sure my eyebrows are intact. They were. And then I'm like, I got to get this out. So I ran over to get a big bucket of water, and I come back to dump it on it. And dumping the water on it, I thought would just douse it, I'd be in the free and clear. But really what it did was the water just pushed the gasoline further out and caused literally a burning ring of fire in my backyard. And so now I spent the next 5 minutes just running around like an idiot trying to stomp out my grass while my neighbors are looking out the window thinking, who just moved in next door to me? And then, if that wasn't bad enough, I had to explain to my wife, when she got home from work, why there was a giant charred circle in our backyard. Here's the thing. Fire will definitely get your attention. I was thinking about Exodus chapter 3. There's a section in the Bible is talking about Moses. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house. He was raised in royalty, but this is past that. We're about 40 years removed from this, and this is a different Moses. This is an older Moses. This is a less prestigious Moses. In fact, Moses at this point is a shepherd, doing one of the lowest jobs a person could do, spending day after day just looking after these sheep. And I don't think he had any Lincoln Logs to play with. One day, Moses is out with these sheep, and he looks over, and he sees this flame. He sees this bush that's on fire. Now, I have to think that he was watching it for a while, maybe at a distance, because what he mentions about it is not just that it was on fire, but that it was on fire and it was not being consumed. And so then Moses made the choice to draw closer to this bush. He made the choice to walk closer to God. And in this bush, God shows up. And he tells Moses exactly what he needs him to do. First, let me say this. I believe God still uses burning bushes. They may not look the same way, but I do believe that God wants to get your attention and my attention. I do believe that God wants us to draw closer to him so that he can speak into our lives and call us to do what he wants us to do. My question for you first is, what's keeping you from taking that step? So here's Moses. He gets the courage to step closer to God, and God tells him that, verse 7 and 8, that I need you to go back to Egypt and to free my people. I have to think that the first thing on Moses' mind was, this is the wrong timing. Right? If you wanted me to free the people from Egypt, then you should have tapped me 40 years ago when I was in Pharaoh's house, when I had the power, when I had the prestige, when I could just say it and it would be done. Why are you coming to me now when I'm nothing, when I'm so obscure? Nobody's going to listen to me. Nobody knows me anymore. Why didn't you ask me then? God, you have chosen the wrong time. And here's what I think is true. I think there are so many junior high students. I think there are so many high school students that God wants us to draw close to him, and God wants to call us to do something. And I think there's so many of us You say, this isn't the right time. When I get older, God, that's when I'll do something great for you. When I get older, God, that's when I'll do what you're calling me to do. But I think that mindset is flawed. Because when I read the Bible, I read about 14, 15, 16-year-old young men and young women who changed the world. I read about Daniel, who was probably 14 years old when he's taken into Babylonian captivity, standing up to the king, saying that I will not forsake my God. I read about Mary, who was a teenage girl who gave birth to Jesus. I read about Timothy, who Paul spoke into his life and said, I need you to go to this church at Ephesus and teach them the way of God. I read about the disciples who were 17, 18, 19-year-old men. And I read about how God took 12 and he changed the world. Your age doesn't matter to God. The size of your youth group doesn't matter to God. What matters to God is, are you drawing close to him? What matters to God is, are you listening to him? And what matters to God is, are you willing to rise up now? Because now is when our God is calling us.
Brad threw us a great challenge this week as we looked at the story of Moses. He called us to rise up now. Rise up now, knowing this, that wherever you go, and whatever you do, God is with you always. This week we want you to spend some time reading 1st and 2nd Timothy. Pay close attention to what Paul was writing to a very young Timothy who, just like you, was being called to rise up and become a kingdom worker right now. Put yourself in his shoes, hearing the words as if they were written exactly for your ears. We want you to spend some time also praying that you can see those burning bushes all around you and hear the voice of God calling. And lastly, here's what it is we want you to do. We want you to talk with an adult leader who knows you well, and we want you to dream big, asking this question: what if? What if I knew God was in it and he was leading it? And then what would I rise up to do as a kingdom worker right now? Guys, faith is always found on the backside of obedience. So if God is leading it, even when you may not know exactly how it's going to work out, just be confident in the fact that he's got this. But he's just waiting for you to rise up. You guys are in our prayers. Rise up and go do your kingdom work right now, knowing that the God of the universe is with you always.